This is a neutral switch. Watch this video. Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. I hope you're all well. Very quick video here in the workshop. Just got the engine started after the rebuild. And yeah, it sounds a bit rough, but it was running sweetly. I'm going to take it. I just need to balance all the carbs here. So if you watch the short, which I put on the channel, literally just show, look, the engine started. Woohoo! Now I just need to fine tune and fettle it and get this back on the road. But one thing I wanted to talk about was a little neutral switch here, which I bought and the part came today. So this now is a brand new part, and guess what I'm going to do with it? Throw it away. Let me explain. So I watch lots of videos, as you can imagine, on YouTube, and also I'm on Rumble now as well, so you can check out the videos there. But there's lots of people who would say, oh, you know, if you've got a part and it's not working, just change this part. So if your neutral light, for example, on your bike is not working, just go and get a neutral switch and it'll all be fixed. The problem is it could be a very simple fix, and it could be something that you've done yourself, or somebody has changed something on your bike and you didn't even realize it, and that's what is causing the problem. You haven't got a neutral light rather than it being the actual switch itself. Now it could be, but the chances of neutral switches just breaking is very, very remote. And this is the same for, let's say, oil pressure switches, oil pressure senders, oil level senders, that kind of thing. It's very rare that they break. Sometimes they do, of course they can, but it's very rare. It's usually something with the wiring. There's a problem with the wiring. So let me just explain what I've done, and maybe this will give you a bit of an insight. So this neutral switch actually goes in there on the gearbox side there. And then when you're in neutral, it just pushes it on a pin like that, and it sends a signal up to your light. Great, right? That's all worked. So the problem is, when I rewired this bike, I wasn't thinking logically. And I did exactly the same issue. I had made the same mistake as I did with the oil pressure light as well, or the oil pressure switch, I should say, because I wasn't getting a neutral light and I wasn't getting an oil pressure light either. But now I am. Let me just show you. Ignition on. There we go. Neutral light. Let me kick it into gear. Neutral light out. Back into neutral. See, it works, and this is the oil pressure light. I wasn't getting either of these two. So what was the problem? How did I just fix that issue? Why have I just wasted £11, £12, whatever it is, on an oil pressure switch that I actually didn't need? Okay, so how did I get it fixed? Okay, let me just say this. Whenever you rewire a bike or you create your own wiring loom, you tend to put it in a positive bias. In other words, what I'm trying to say is that if you're going to put a switch in it, you put it in the power line, the positive line. If you put a fuse, you're going to put it in the power line, the positive line, okay? There are certain components on the bike that doesn't happen. You actually put it on the negative line. And what I mean by that is that you've got switches on the engine, which is an oil pressure switch, a neutral switch, you know, an oil level switch, let's say, that kind of thing. They are switches in the negative line because they work off the engine being grounded to the frame. Therefore, it's a switch in the negative line. So what I did, like a complete dumbass, the wiring to the lamps, the oil pressure lamp and the neutral lamp, I connected one wire to the negative, in other words, the grounding of the bike, and I wired the other line to the neutral switch and to the oil pressure switch. So in other words, I've got two negatives going in. I haven't got a positive at all. So what I did, well, hold on, I started to think about it, and then I looked at the wiring diagrams as well. So here, if you look at the wiring diagrams here, this is a neutral switch and this is an oil pressure switch here. So if you look here, they are both grounded. They are grounded. These switches are grounded to the engine. Therefore, they're not positive line switches, they're negative switches. So all I had to do to get these working was just to open up my wiring and just change the direction of the power going into the lamp. So I connected the wiring from the neutral switch onto the negative terminal of the lamp, and then I put in a positive power supply from the positive bus, which I've got, the power bus, to both the neutral switch and the oil pressure switch, and now they work perfectly. So even when I started the engine, the oil pressure light went out. So absolutely great. So this is a kind of a reminder to everybody that if you're working with switches off the engine, in terms of oil pressure switch, neutral switches, they are negative bias, or whatever the term is. So you have to work in opposite. Everything else on your bike, you're going to say, okay, this is a positive bias, but on those sorts of switches, they're negative. So you kind of have to work your wiring. If, let's just say, you've got an older bike that doesn't work for whatever reason, those switches don't work, check the wiring. If you've had a bike that's been modified and somebody's done it and they just can't get the oil pressure light to work or the neutral switch to work, the chances are they might have done what I did and got it completely wrong. Also, the oil pressure switches and things like that, just check the wiring that nothing is grounded out or something like that, or a wire hasn't broken. That's one of the reasons, you know, why something has failed. Now, it could be, in the end, after all that the oil pressure switch or the whatever it is, or the neutral switch, is the actual thing that's broken. Fair enough. But you know, there could be an underlying cause why that has happened as well. Anyway, hope you found that useful. But as I say, I wired the bike incorrectly, and then I suddenly thought about it. I thought, okay, that's not quite right. Why have I done that? But it was too late. I'd already bought the neutral switch. There we go. If you need a neutral switch for a KZ750, let us know. I'm your man, along with all the other parts that I've got left over on this bike. Anyway, catch you again in another video whenever that is. Bye now.